Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at Bandai's S.H. Figuarts Star Wars Jango Fett. Now even though I wasn't super excited about Jango getting an S.H. Figuarts figure before Boba, I'm still okay with getting this release because even though the Black Series is pretty good, I really don't mind it. Getting an S.H. Figuarts version, at least to compare to, is pretty awesome. Now as far as the packaging goes, it's the standard Figuarts box. Just very compact. You see everything in the box. You got the silver trim here. Pretty picture on the side. More pretty pictures on the back. Shows you what the figure can do. All the attachments for it. And then down here a bunch of unreadables. Probably says something like, Jango's just as good as Boba Fett, right? Right? And it actually says, right? Right? That's what they said. Who am I to judge? Logos on the side. More unreadables on bottom. Logo on top. So I'm going to get this open and see if this knocks the Black Series figure off the shelf. And there we go, all out of the package. And, yeah. You guys know I hate fiddly figures. That's what has put me off the Mafex line for the most part. Seeing that within the Figuarts line, it makes me sad, really. Now don't get me wrong, the sculpt here, fantastic. Even the colors. The purple jumpsuit does jump out at me as being kind of weird, but looking at reference pictures, it's actually that color. The problem with the Figuarts figure, it's not really dirty. It's really clean for the most part. The armor plates may have a little bit of dirt here and there, but the undersuit is clean. So it just sticks out to the eye. The proportions are good, but man, it just breaks my heart whenever I actually pick it up to mess with it. Right off the bat, what is this? And what's going on there is the ball joint coming out of the waist is just loose in the socket. Now, when I first pulled it out, there was one of those pieces of plastic wrapped around that. It was loose even before I popped it apart right here to get the plastic out. But this ball right here, it's loose inside there. As you can see, it just flops around. So you stand them up, and because of the backpack, it just wants to fall back. The other point that I hate is the shoulders. It doesn't have the range of movement that we usually see with Figuarts. We do have forward and back and up and down, but this shoulder pad is a pain in the ass. It doesn't get out of the way. It's too wide. You can't get any movement. And if you try to get crazy with it, you can put it right back in, but it's just not a lot of range of movement here. What sucks here is because this is Jango. You want him to be shooting, you want him to be firing something, you want him to have a lot of shoulder movement, and it just doesn't happen here. You can kind of come up, but it doesn't. Oh, and that's another thing we're going to get to here in a minute that pisses me off. Left arm, for some reason, if you get it down here, and sometimes the shoulder pad keeps you from getting the arm back up into position where you get a clean line here. It wants to stick down in there. So you'll have to fiddle around with it a little bit there. And there's that word again, fiddle. I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. The viewfinder, it is movable, but it was nice and taut when I got it out of the package. As soon as I tried to move it, there was a snap like paint was holding it. It didn't break, but I brought it down to here. But now there is a little bit of looseness there. So when you're moving it around, trying to pose it, this gets all out of position every time you barely tap it. Again, don't like it. Coming back to this, where the hook with the line attaches, we'll get into that here in a minute. These hoses, whenever you bend the elbow, the hoses actually go in and out of this apparatus here. As you can see, it just pulls out. It's just loose. You can pull it all the way out. Well, that's how it keeps from breaking, and you get the range of movement in the elbow. Now, you pull these out to change this out with the blade attachment. Again, when I pulled this off, there was a snap like it was being held on really tight with paint. Now, it's just kind of loose. If I get crazy with the arm, it just wants to come off. It doesn't actually snap in there. It's just like friction. That's on top of every time you try to change these out, you're having to re-thread them onto here. And again, pain in the ass. It's not really a quick change. The other thing, this isn't a big deal. It's not a huge thing. It's just weird. I guess to keep the holster size down, they just gave you grips for the gun. It actually looks like a phaser. But that just plugs into a hole right there. And to keep it going, you can see the flesh on the neck up in there. Now in the original sneaky pictures that we saw from some toy show overseas, Jango did originally have an unmasked head. Some of these extras that we'll get to just seem like just thrown in there. I'd much rather have an alternate head than to have little bitty pieces that either fall off or are a pain to keep up with. Now for articulation, the helmet does sit a little bit low, so it kind of doesn't have the range of movement that we're used to. You can get side to side. You can get up, which actually not bad, and then down, because the neck is on a joint too. I already talked about the shoulders. It's a ball going into the body. It does not pull out enough to give you good range of movement. There's a swivel at the bicep. Double elbow, you get about that far. Not bad, really. Standard Figuarts wrist, you have a ball with peg going up and then peg going down into the hand. You have swivel, and then you can set the hinge to go any direction you want to go. Ball up into the torso and then a ball at the waist. So you do get a good range of movement. You do have a swing down hip, so you get extra range of movement. You get up, you get forward, you get back. Double knee gets back about that far. Rotation at the ankle, then you get hinge back and forward. The boot gets in the way, and then the armor plates. You do have rocker ankle, then you have toe joint. For accessories, the jetpack is a separate piece, and it does come off. The nozzles, they do move a little bit. They're kind of on a ball joint. And then here, there's a cap that comes off, I guess for a figure stand. For hands, he comes with 2 fists. He comes with 2 open hands. He comes with 2 trigger finger hands for his pistols. And then he comes with 2 pointy finger hands that are open just the right size for the grip of the pistols. Now the trigger finger hands, you can put the gun in there. No problem. It does hold it in there, but it's kind of a loose grip because the thumb doesn't come to the other side of the gun. But if you take the pointy finger hand, it actually goes down in there and is held. The one good thing is the hands are easily interchangeable. It comes right off. The other one pops right on. No problem whatsoever. Nothing like Darth Maul and some of the others we've seen where they are super tight and you worry about the actual peg breaking. Comes off, the other hand pops right on. Now, like I talked about on the right gauntlet, the bottom piece is interchangeable and it has this other piece that goes on that has the blades. This thing is even looser than the actual piece that started out in that slot. So it tends to fall out pretty easily. Now, he also does have this dart, but it's really tiny. And it does go onto this piece right here, but it doesn't really want to stay. That's going to fall off. I'm going to lose that. That's going to be gone before I get him fully displayed in the toy room. But it also has a round piece that plugs into the gauntlet to make it look like it's shooting out. But compared to the Black Series Jango Fett, I like the proportions on the Figuarts better. You can see that the arms aren't quite as long as the Black Series. He's shorter and the helmet is a little bit smaller, but it looks more in proportion. The Black Series helmet, a little big because it goes over the actual Jango head. Here's where it really matters, is beside Mace. And I don't know if Mace is this much taller than Jango. I think it comes down to Figuarts still takes their armored characters and makes them a little bit small for some reason. I don't know why they do that. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have to work on this figure, I guess. The biggest thing is to tighten up that waist joint. That's just too floppy. I'm afraid if I put him on the shelf, he's going to fall down within a day. I don't like the shoulders. I don't like the gratuitous accessories as opposed to an actual alternate head. Because that's where Figuarts shines, is their faces on the Star Wars figures. I don't like that the gauntlets don't turn. This figure really makes me mad when I'm trying to mess with it. And that's usually my #1 reason to hate a figure right off the bat, is it's fiddly. It won't stand. It won't do what I want it to do. But he looks better than the Black Series version, at least proportion-wise. Maybe not size-wise. So this comes down to looks. If you like the look of it, you're going to be happy with this. If you want a figure you can play with, this isn't it. Unless you're into putting the work in, fixing it up, fixing what you don't like, fixing the loose pieces. So yeah, a little negativity this time around, but that's the figure's fault. That's not my fault. I want to like the figure. I like looking at it, but I sure as hell don't want to pick the thing up right now because I may throw it out the window. So if you like this review, comment, like, subscribe. Yeah, I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. Now, like I said, the harness itself is sculpted to the figure. You can see right here, you bring it up, it just comes around right here. I don't know why I thought it was removable, but it just looks that way. And then it comes around to the top. It's nice. It looks like it was laid right over and it doesn't move. That's the biggest thing for me. I was afraid the straps, if it were removable, it'd be all crazy to keep in place here.